Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, welcome. My name is Braden Timmons, and today, guys, we have freaking made it. We have made it to the new trilogy of Halloween movies, because today we are talking about Halloween 2018, which is absolutely unbelievable, man. I have had such a fucking great time, and I know I say this every single week, but I truly do, man. I have so much fun talking about these movies with you guys. I mean, I really say that this film has a very special place in my heart because it is the movie that is responsible for the explosion of my YouTube channel. And I know that a lot of you have been around since my initial trailer reaction for Halloween 2018, or either or whatnot. I talked a lot about this movie on my channel leading up to Halloween 2018, and yeah, guys, this is the movie that dawned my existence on YouTube. So I really have to credit that where it's due. And you know, what a ride it's been. What a fucking ride it's been with you guys over these last 4 years. So, you know, nonetheless, I'm excited as hell to be here, and let's get in to Halloween 2018. What do I think about this movie? And we're in the new trilogy, guys. Next week, Halloween Ends comes out. I mean, we've got one more review to talk about right before Halloween ends, and I can't wait. I'm super excited about these next couple of weeks because we have a lot of Halloween content ahead. But nonetheless, if you guys are new here, consider clicking that subscribe button and turning on notifications for all future videos. If you guys like horror, monsters, sci-fi, all that kind of good stuff, this is more than likely going to be the channel for you. So with all that being said, let's get into this. So Halloween 2018 retcons every single Halloween movie that we have talked about in this franchise except the original 1978 movie. Laurie Strode has been preparing for Michael Myers for 40 years to escape from Smith's Grove once again, so that way she can finally destroy Michael Myers once and for all, or at least that's what she hopes to do. She's obviously not successful, being that we had two more films after Halloween 2018, but when this movie was coming out, it was being looked at as the official final chapter with Laurie Strode. Like, I mean, if you even look at the back of the 4K, it says Laurie Strode returns, who comes to her final confrontation with Michael Myers. Now, obviously, they had to leave the ending of this movie, and also, guys, spoilers for those of you that may not have seen this movie. It's been out for fucking 4 years now, so spoilers. Obviously, just want to be respectful to you guys if you guys have not had a chance to see it, or if you guys are watching it for the very first time leading up to Halloween Ends. But obviously, the ending of this movie left open a possibility for a sequel. Like, it did kind of have an ending that could have been okay if we didn't get Halloween Kills, because they left it with, is Michael Myers not there? Is he or is he gone? Or where the hell did Michael Myers go in the fire? Like, it showed him there, and then it cut to shots of him gone, which we'll get there. But nonetheless, let's talk about the start of this movie, because I'm not going to lie, guys. I want to talk about what I really love about this movie first, and then I want to get into some things that I really don't like. Don't worry, there's plenty of things in this film that I don't like. Now, as a big Halloween fan, as somebody who loves this franchise, pays very much attention to all these movies, did I have a good time with Halloween 2018? Well, initially when I saw Halloween 2018, I didn't really like it as much as I wanted to, and it could have been because I had a giant amount of overhype for this movie, I would say. I'll admit it. I did think that I was very overly hyped for Halloween 2018 when it came out, and I think that may have made my expectations go a little through the roof, and I left the theater that night not really knowing how to feel about Halloween 2018. Like, I liked it, but I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. Now, I've watched this movie every single year since its release, and I do tend to like this movie more and more every time I watch it. I watched it again tonight in preparation for this review, and I had a great time with it. It's early in October, and we're getting right into the Halloween spirit, and just watching this movie put a big fucking it just smacked a grin on my face, and that's definitely something that I am appreciating more about this movie, is that I just look at it as a good time. Now, there are things in it, again, that I'm going to talk about here in a couple minutes that I don't really like, but guys, the writing in the first part of this movie is absolutely fantastic. I would say that it's some of the best writing that we get in the entire franchise. I'm a huge fan as to what the angle was on Laurie Strode. Even though we have seen that before in Halloween H2O, Halloween H2O featured Laurie in more of a life that she was trying harder to move on than she is in Halloween 2018. Like in H2O, she's teaching, she has a son, she's out in the world, she's dating and all that stuff. In Halloween 2018, she is super secluded. We find out throughout the course of the movie that she has really created a rocky relationship with her family because of her obsession with Michael Myers. And I love that angle on Laurie because in a way it kind of reminded me of Terminator 2. You know, like when Sarah Connor kind of became that crazy psychotic woman that was obsessed with Terminator coming back and all that. And I love the angle of that with Laurie. And I loved Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie. Her performance is so good. And I honestly just didn't think, I think that the one thing that this trilogy is lacking is the Laurie Strode character. Because every time that she is on frame in this movie, she's absolutely fucking crushing it. But I don't think that it features her enough. I feel like that this movie does shy away from her a bit too much, and that's where the movie kind of loses its flavor. Another thing that's really great in this movie is fucking Michael Myers. James Jude Courtney, if he pulls this thing off and ends, and guys, I can pretty much already say that he is my favorite Michael Myers. I mean, James Jude Courtney is absolutely electrifying as Michael Myers. Like, he is terrifying. He looks good. The mask looks good. I love what special effects artist Christopher Nelson was able to do with the mask. Seriously, everything with the mask and with James Jude Courtney and how serious he took the role of Michael Myers. It's like he's not just trying to bring his own flavor of Michael Myers to the character. No, he is trying his hardest to emulate what Nick Castle did and how he moved in Halloween 1978. Because one of the things that fans were looking at in this movie is this the exact same Michael Myers that was in existence in Halloween 1978? And I can honestly say that I did walk away from even my initial viewing of Halloween 2018, and I was like, yes, that looks and feels very much like the same Michael Myers. This is the exact same guy, and I think that the way that he was directed and the way that he just really played the character, I just thought was great. And again, I will credit this movie is directed by David Gordon Green, and it is written by David Gordon Green, Jeff Bradley, and Danny McBride. Now, when Danny McBride came aboard this movie, I was honestly surprised because Danny McBride and David Gordon Green are obviously known, and even Jeff Bradley. Jeff Bradley is actually credited as a writer on The Righteous Gemstones, which is currently Danny McBride's comedy series on HBO, and David Gordon Green has also directed several episodes of Danny McBride's comedy series like Vice Principals and Eastbound and Down. And I think that Danny McBride is just such a fucking talented individual. He is a great, funny, comedic actor, and I was honestly on board with him kind of branching away from what his comfort zone would be. I thought that this was a really good challenge for them as artists in the industry. I will say, though, the movie does have a lot of comedy that is completely misplaced, and I do think that that is one of the downfalls of this movie. But more on that here in just a minute. I do want to talk about a few more things that I really do like about this movie. I do think that David Gordon Green is a good director. I think that these movies have been directed very good. And I will say that the scene, the long take scene, doesn't really create a lot of suspense. But I give David Gordon Green a pass because this is something that maybe a more seasoned horror director might not do. Like, James Wan is absolutely fucking fantastic at the one takes in his movies. So, I mean, but he always has such an interesting, unique style that he does with the camera that's almost new every single time that he does a one take. David Gordon Green, I feel like that as he progresses throughout his career, he will get there. I didn't think that the one take had a big amount of suspense, but I did really like the way that it was filmed. Another character that I really actually ended up liking by the end of the movie was Karen. I like the idea that this is a, woman that has a lot of baggage with her mom, and I love that part of the story. I thought that was great. I thought that was a really good angle because that brings some tension, and it gives us a little bit of time to care about what's going on in Laurie's personal life, especially when they have those little heartfelt moments. I do think that the movie is slow, but it's slow on purpose. And because we don't see Michael Myers, we really don't see the full Michael Myers until I'd say about 42 to 45 minutes into the movie. It is quite a bit of time, but you also really need this first act to set up what the story is. We need to catch up with Laurie. This has been 40 years. This is retconning every single movie in the franchise. So we have to catch up with our main heroine and understand where her mind is at, the relationships that she has with people, the world that she lives in. And I think that they do a really good job at accomplishing that. And I also love Officer Hawkins. I was very, very happy that he ended up surviving his attack from Dr. Sartain in this movie. I do think that Will Patton, anytime I see him in a movie, he's always a joy to see. So I think that he is really great here and very charismatic as Officer Hawkins. I also like the relationship that he has with Laurie Strode in this movie, and there is some backstory there, and I do like the angle that they take on that, even though they only share 2 scenes together, and then they don't get to see each other again until later on in the night in Halloween Kills. So that was another character that I really liked. But that's pretty much about all that I have with my positives, guys. Oh, and I will say I cannot forget John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel Davies' scores are absolutely fucking amazing. I love the update of this movie. The opening of this movie alone, just leading in to that opening score and just seeing the pumpkin start coming back as if it's being reborn. I fucking love that. I got absolute chills when I saw it in theaters. I get chills every single time. Tonight I shared it on my Instagram story as I was watching the opening, and I said that the opening is fire. It is fire, and I do really like John Carpenter and Co's music. I honestly think that their music has been one of the strongest points of this entire new trilogy. But that's all I really have with my positives, guys. I do have quite a bit of negatives, unfortunately, to say about this movie, and the first thing I'm going to say is, as much as I love Andi Matichak as an actress, she's great in this movie. I do think that her character is one of those characters that is not necessarily needed for this movie, because there's her, then there's her boyfriend, Cameron Elam, who is the son of Lonnie Elam from Halloween 1978, and then we've got his friend Oscar, and there's just a lot of people in this movie that are just pretty much there to create the body count. They're there to run away from Michael Myers, and it just kind of becomes Michael Myers needs to be in all these different points in Haddonfield at this time. It's almost like Michael Myers is just literally he's at the house with Vicky, and then it's he's off in a backyard next door and all that stuff. And I do think that kind of becomes a little messy, because there's the drama with her and Cameron that honestly nobody really gives a shit about. There's the high school dance that, again, nobody gives a shit about. These are all scenes I feel like that could have been replaced with stuff with Laurie Strode on the hunt for Michael Myers, and maybe they wouldn't even have had to make 2 more movies. They could have done this all in one movie had they have actually planned and executed it correctly, because they just throw in all these extra characters, and yes, they create a body count because you need a body count for a slasher, but it also kind of becomes just a very messy movie because they have all these different subplots now that you don't necessarily need. And the biggest subplot that they fucking had was Sartain, Dr. Sartain, Michael's doctor, after all that time, fucking hurting or injuring Officer Hawkins, taking and putting on Michael Myers' mask and fucking having him get to Laurie Strode. I think that was just the biggest what the fuck that I have seen in a movie like this. That is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, WTF in this entire franchise. It's like a what the fuck. Now, they do hint at that over the course of the movie. I cannot hate on them for throwing that in there after rewatching this, and I do have a separate video on this coming, because I did notice a couple things when I was watching it tonight. They definitely did hint at that early on in the movie, but I just don't think that it paid off, because it literally is thrown away almost instantaneously. It's insane. that it could have been very interesting, but there is no payoff with that whatsoever. That scene only exists for Dr. Sartain to bring Michael Myers to Laurie Strode, only for Dr. Sartain to get killed by Michael Myers in literally the very next scene. There's also a scene where Karen is explaining to Allison her backstory, and yes, I get it, we need to know Karen's backstory, but I feel like that this is a conversation that should have been had like during like a sit down, like a one-on-one with Allison, not just in the middle of a parking lot after Laurie Strode shows up, chugs some wine, and then breaks down because she says that she sees the shape, which is also a line I didn't really like. I didn't like the fact that she called him the shape, because it's never really been out in the open that he's been the shape. He's always been known as the boogeyman. I feel like that if she would have said that she saw him, the boogeyman, that probably would have been a little bit better. But yeah, I think that the way that Karen just kind of like stands there, not even looking at her daughter, she's just staring off into space, explaining to her everything that she went through as a child. I get that we need to know that, but I feel like that would have worked more if she maybe came up to Allison's room one night after they had a fight, and then she actually can go up and talk to Allison about what had happened to her. You know, like, or I feel like that might have even been something that she should have told her even before, or it should have been something that Allison knew coming into the movie, because this has been so affectionate on their family that I feel like that Karen would tell Allison as to why she doesn't want Laurie around. You know, but that's just me. I mean, I could be crazy, but I think that would have been a better angle. So, guys, this movie has great Halloween elements to it, but it also has some good drama elements, and then it also just has some really dumb drama elements to it, because, you know, you need drama to really, we need that, right? We need to escape, we need to sit down and watch something and immerse ourselves into another world, and they have some great writing throughout the movie. Like, the first act of the movie, I'd say, is the best writing in the entire film. The middle kind of gets a little wonky, because that's like where all the subplots and everything take place. And then the finale, I'd say it really starts to pick up again. I did really like the finale of the movie, even though I do wish we can see the initial finale of this movie with Laurie Strode and Michael Myers with the knife fight that they were marketing for in the trailer. I was very excited to see it, and it's definitely something that I wish that we would get. But the ending of the movie, I do think that there are some great stuff with Michael Myers, and there's a really great callback to Halloween 1978 at the end when they do the reverse shot with Michael Myers looking over the balcony and seeing Laurie Strode gone. The only thing that I can think in my head is Michael Myers just thinking, so that's how that feels. But, yeah, guys, I do think that Halloween 2018, it's a good Halloween movie. It could have been a fucking great Halloween movie if they would have just maybe made some different creative choices. I mean, the Sartain thing, I truly can't believe it got across as many desks as it did, but I still have a good time with this movie. This movie does have a good Halloween atmosphere. It's got some good Halloween vibes. Another thing I'd say is just the Michael Myers elements. There are some elements that are missing with Michael Myers here. Like, we don't get enough of the POV shots, or we don't get enough of the classic in between the houses shots, which is something that it seems like that these filmmakers have gotten better at over the course of these next few movies, especially based on the trailer with Halloween Ends. It looks like that we actually get some classic Halloween Michael Myers stuff. They have some good distant shots of Michael Myers, but I do think that there are some elements of him that are missing in this movie, even though I do love the way that James Jude Courtney walks, and I love the way that he portrays the character. I just think that some of the styles that we see from the filmmaking standpoint just isn't all there, which also kind of docks it for me. But in the end, guys, I still have a great time with Halloween 2018. I still think that it is a very good and enjoyable movie. I can literally sit down and put this on right after Halloween, and I absolutely love it. So I do think that this is a great time. I'm going to say that this movie is an avid Halloween partier. You can throw this on at a Halloween party, have a great time watching it. It is in the top 5 for me, at least, in the franchise. It's not in the top 3, unfortunately, but it definitely does make the top 5 for sure. So with all that being said, post your guys' comments down below. Let me know, what do you guys think of Halloween 2018? Do you guys love it? Do you guys hate it? Do you guys kind of find it somewhere in the middle? Whatever your guys' thoughts are, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you guys like this, don't forget to join me on my journey to 15,000 subscribers, and I will see you guys in my next video.